Hello all, my name is Brian Smith and today we'll be discussing the effects of clinicians' participation in ECMO management simulation and training. The organization that we'll be using to fulfill this study is MedStar SITEL. MedStar SITEL is a simulation, training, and educational lab. Through close partnership with subject matter experts, our educators and simulation specialists create and deliver a variety of realistic, high-impact learning experiences in a safe training environment. Scenario-based exercises focus on mastering technical skills, participating and practicing in protocol, applying clinical decision-making, and developing communication and interpersonal skills. Now let's discuss the background of the study. Critical care physicians conducting the extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, also known as ECMO procedure, on adult patients is a recent phenomenon. ECMO is a treatment that uses a pump to circulate blood through an artificial lung back into the bloodstream of a very ill patient. Not having adequate simulation education and training within health systems, and because of the rare occurrence in their practice, limits the ability for physicians to exercise this procedure, resulting in a lack of competency and confidence. Clinicians should be equipped with the tools and training to feel successful in the execution of the ECMO procedure. Here's our problem statement. Amongst providers who practice critical care, there's a lack of confidence and competency within conducting extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, resulting in a potential negative patient outcome. Our hypothesis is as follows. It is hypothesized that experience gained through protocol-based ECMO management simulation and training, consistently scheduled, can increase clinicians' confidence and competency versus infrequent-based ECMO management simulation training. The research method that was used was survey-based. 15 fellows participated in the ECMO simulation that was proctored by specialized faculty and staff. Once the simulation was completed, the fellows were given a survey that addressed their competency of the ECMO procedure along with how confident they are with certain tasks of the procedure. In the diagram below, you'll see the variables that were used to survey the fellows. The initial questions that were asked were name, gender, race, and age, and this was just to get some important demographics of the fellows and of the learners that we were doing the simulation with. What's most important within this variable sheet is the overall confidence of the ECMO procedure before simulation, the overall confidence they felt after the simulation, and also the overall competency levels before and after the simulation. To determine this, we asked the learners if they felt very uncomfortable, somewhat uncomfortable, comfortable, very comfortable, or did they feel like they mastered the skills. In the survey, we also ranked these variables from 1 being the most uncomfortable to 5 being the most comfortable, and then also with competency we rated them from 1 being the least competent to 5 being the most competent or expert level in regards to how they felt regarding the ECMO procedure. In our mean analysis, we can see the means and medians of the rankings of variables. So if the number is 5, closer to 5, then that means that the average number is relatively confident, or there's a high level of competency in regards to the variable that was being asked. If there's a low margin closer to 1, that will indicate that there is a lack of confidence and lack of competency within that realm. or that variable. So for example, we see that the overall confidence of the ECMO procedure after the simulation is 4.2. The However, the overall confidence level of the ECMO procedure before the simulation is 2.3. So obviously there was some increase, some growth in confidence from before and after the simulation. Here we have our correlation table. There is very little correlation with each variable. The most correlation that existed was between the overall before and after the simulation, the overall confidence, and the overall confidence before and after the simulation. Other than that, there was very little correlations that could be determined with the variables that we used. Within our t-test, we can tell the difference between what really happened and what our model shows. So the hypothesized median for majority of the t-tests were 3, and then you can see how it translates within each t-test. So what we did was we did a t-test for every for the overall confidence and competency before and after the simulation. So we have 4 t-tests that we're going to show you today. Here's the overall confidence of ECMO procedure before the simulation. You can see that there's a differentiation from the hypothesized median and the observed median. We can also see how that translates for the overall confidence of ECMO procedure after the simulation, which there was a difference. The hypothesized median was 3 and the observed was 4. Now, we did have the same hypothesized and observed when it comes to the overall competency of ECMO procedures before the simulation, and then it changes to 4. That was the observed, the actual hypothesized. The observed was the actual. To conclude, the data reveals that there is means growth as it compares to both the fellows' competency and confidence of the overall ECMO skills. Though there is an increase, there is little relevance to the statistical median and the hypothesized median, which, as a result, rejects the null hypothesis. This means that there is not enough data to prove the validity of the null hypothesis, or that it can be untrue based on the results of the SPSS t-test. It may be possible that another t-test may be more suitable for the ordinal data that we're using, or there needs to be a more significant study done to better assess the relevance of the mean and median of the overall competency and confidence of the fellows before and after the simulation. So as you can see in our data, there is a correlation between the lack of confidence and competency before the simulation and the results after, because we did see growth, but because of how small the study was, there's not significant amount enough data to prove that this is a valid correlation. So thank you so much for tuning in, and take care.